All right, good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Very excited to be here delivering another Rogue Mornings. I want to take a moment just to thank several of our guests from this week. Bankster Slayer, Ken Shorkin Jr., really stepping in to help fill the big shoes of V, who has been out on a much deserved vacation. So excited! It's the weekends here. We've had great shows this week. Just also really quick, a couple of programming notes. I apologize, I did not get with Dex, and I'm going to try to see if we can't get him on later on for our traditional Friday morning rogue morning. No, listen to me, I can't even talk. Rogue radio programming this afternoon. Also want to thank all of our listeners, our supporters. I want you to know that we do read every comment in the comment section. We value all the comments that you make. I want to break a couple of those comments down real quick. In regards to the audio, we try our best to deliver the best audio. V and I like delivering live shows, delivering it live in the raw, versus the traditional recorded interview, edited, release later on. I think our listeners appreciate the live, the in-your-face type interviews that we do. And in part, I've listened to other programs, other big programs, bigger than us, and they've had issues before with Skype and other things, and have to get someone back on. So it's just one of those things that comes with the territory when you're doing live broadcasts as much as we do here at Rogue Media. Before we jump into the latest news, I also want to thank our sponsors, myfreedomnow.us. Again, if you're in the need of a credit repair, you need to apply for a loan, wanting to get your credit score raised, hopefully get you a lower interest. Or if you're in the need of a loan, perhaps looking at some debt consolidation, maybe you have a high interest loan that just paying too much on interest, you need some help with that, myfreedomnow.us can help you out. Also, My Gold USB. Again, if you want to dark surf on the web anonymously, military grade encryption, and then also have it portable to be able to utilize and carry your Bitcoin wallet on there, mygoldusb.us. So let's kick off. I'm going to be flying solo today on today's program. I want to spend a little time talking about the news that broke yesterday in regards to special counsel Robert Mueller utilizing grand jury. So yesterday, this was the #1 streaming topic that came out. Of course, the MSM did their part to really hype it up. And I just want to give you a couple things in regards to my perspective with this grand jury. Now, it's being reported that very well this grand jury could have already been established, if you remember, a few months ago in regards to the Michael Flynn investigation with, his information and everything that took part there, that this special grand jury could have very well been in place. In part, whenever they use a grand jury, it's to, issue the subpoenas. So we're learning that with this grand jury that they're going to be utilizing it to submit subpoenas to get Donald Trump Jr. to testify in regards to his quote unquote meeting with a Russian attorney. Now, I think this very well could have been a staged news release, in part because we are learning, more and more information in regards to the potential of Trump, firing Mueller and taking that step. So this very well could have been Mueller's part to say, hey, you know what, let's get out in front of this. Let's, make ourselves even look more on our deep sea exploration, even more viable that there's something there. When we all know for the last several months, time after time, even when they really pressed back then, Comey, and three times, he testified that there was no collusion between the Russians and Trump. The question, how do they keep pressing this narrative? And at Rogue Money, we've been breaking this down talking about the fact that they really would love to bring the federal elections, into Homeland Security, to federalize the elections. We know for a fact that the Homeland Security tried to break into several states' election system. That was reported in North Carolina, Indiana. Yesterday, when I was speaking with Harley offline, Harley made a great point as well. He thinks that they're really trying really hard to make an effort to get rid of Trump prior to the 2018 midterms, that they don't want to carry this through. They want to make it look like a success for the Democrats, that, hey, this is something that we achieved. So again, this is something that we'll continue to monitor. I'm not going to get hyped up regarding it or get overly concerned regarding it. I think the media is already doing that part. And again, that there's been several times already that they have stated that there was no collusion between the Russians and Trump and meddling in the U.S. election. What I want to talk about is information that came out regarding the wording, some potential wording in the sanctions bill that may have some impact on media. And this has been reported from several news organizations that within the actual wording is that there's a text that is listed in there, basically, that gives it's section 221 of the Countering American Adversaries Through Sanction Acts would, quote unquote, persons who are engaging in transactions with the intelligence of defense sectors of the government of the Russian Federation. So there's a lot of conversation out there that are they going to utilize this to suppress the alt media, the people that speak favorably of Russia's actions and Russia's what they do. I'm not that concerned about it, primarily for several reasons. The first one that I'd like to break down is the fact that I don't think there's any way they could shut down. I mean, if you take a look at you're literally talking about Twitter, you're talking about Steemit. There are so many avenues right now for the alt media to deliver their message. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is utilizing a BitTorrent in the extreme measures, utilizing the dark web to get that message out, which I don't think is going to happen. I think the wording in this was specifically going to potentially target some of the big organizations. When you think of like, for example, RT or Sputnik News, do I agree with it? Absolutely not. I don't agree with it one bit. But I see this as a First Amendment argument in regarding to freedom of speech, freedom of the press, things that we can do as Americans to counter this. So there's a lot of hype in the news right now. A lot of people talking about, this is the end, and the media, the alt media is going to go down, and it's just simply not going to happen. I mean, shoot, if you take a look at what U.S. organizations are already doing to shut down free speech, whether it's Facebook censoring, Twitter banning people. And now we're learning about YouTube having a new partnership with the ADL to basically potentially punish conservative views. And the ADL is the Anti-Defamation League, and they have joined the quote-unquote Trusted Flaggers program to determine what people should and shouldn't be allowed to watch. So here we have YouTube potentially moving to even more of a nanny state, controlling what people see and listen to on YouTube. Now, there's the argument that YouTube is a private company. They have a right to determine the content. They have a right to decide what is on their outlet. However, what YouTube cannot be doing is stating that they do promote free speech. They do promote individual rights, because that's completely opposite of what they have been establishing the past several months. We're watching videos being demonetized. We are witnessing people receiving what they call a red X or a first strike. And basically YouTube has a 3-strike program that they can potentially just completely delete all your content and remove your channel. So things like that are things that, that concern me in regards to what our company's doing. I think that in part YouTube potentially could very well be caving to the corporate America, to the advertisers that have for the last couple years really pushed back to say, why are my videos being monetized on what they call potentially hate speech, which we know that in fact it's not. The other aspect of it too is that right now it is the time. It's really time for all alt media to begin taking a look at different ways of getting their message out. And there are some companies doing some really creative things, utilizing blockchain technology to hopefully soon develop, counter programs again to go head to head with YouTube. Now I know that's a huge feat with YouTube and how far they are, but not everything stays as is. So again, with YouTube, partnering up with the Anti-Defamation League, going to utilize that for potentially, blunt. It doesn't surprise me. I think that this has been in the works for a while, and what they've been working towards. Next topic I want to cover is the fact that we have Alan Greenspan, who continues to put out warnings in regards to the bond market, and specifically regarding the abnormally low interest rates and how those are greatly affecting a potential, what he calls an irrational exuberance, and the consequences it can bring. So basically what he's stating is that a potential bond bubble that may be happening. And Greenspan's been talking about this for a while. So basically the argument is, as stocks continue to rise to all-time high, but yet you're seeing the dollar slide, you're seeing the bond market, the appetite for bonds, for U.S. Treasuries fall, that this very well could not end very well for the bond market. So I'm hoping later on again to have Dex in to really break that down for us. I don't want to go too much into his content because I'm sure that he's going to be all over it. The other thing I want to share is a very interesting article, and specifically talking about U.S. Treasuries. And this is something that I did not know, but interesting enough, we find out that Apple, the Apple company, owns $52.6 billion in U.S. Treasuries. And that's just a huge amount. I mean, in terms of, you think about, that's more than several countries own in U.S. Treasuries. Now, obviously, we probably know why. I mean, with that 52.6 billion, that buys a lot of influence in the U.S. government. And this article goes on to break down just in terms of the Treasury holdings by several countries. And when you look at this list, it's you ask, how are these countries holding these Treasuries? You take a look at Japan, the #1 spot with Treasuries with almost 1 trillion, a little over 1 trillion. Not far behind them is China, again with over $1 trillion in Treasury holdings. Ireland of all places, $295 billion. Brazil, $269 billion. And my favorite, the Cayman Islands, $206 billion in Treasury holdings. So it was interesting to learn that Apple holds this much in treasuries, and keep in mind that Apple is one of those companies that has a significant offshore accounts, offshore dollars, to avoid taxing them, bringing those sales, bringing those profits to the United States. They offshore all those accounts, and in fact, to pay their U.S. based taxes, they actually borrow money to get that accomplished, for the sole purpose of that they don't want to have to pay that tax. And that's one of the reasons, in part, that it's so important for tax reform, not only for corporations, but also a direct impact to the middle class, to help Americans see more money brought home versus government expenditures, bigger government programs. Americans are tapped out as far as taxes, and as a society. I'm not going to go on a rant. I think Gus and I did a pretty good job yesterday talking about taxes and freedom. However, we as Americans need to decide how much we are going to accept and how much we are, going to tolerate in regards to the massive expansion of taxes. And I don't think people understand. I don't think most people understand that when you take a look at taxes, there's so many aspects of that. You're talking about income tax, sales tax, property taxes, wheel tax. Several states have wheel tax on vehicles when you go in to get your license plates. I mean, and that's just naming a few. So it's amazing to think that our the forefathers went to battle over a small tax on tea, but yet we as a society today continue to allow these massive programs, this massive taxation that directly impacts every single American. So again, want to thank everyone this week, for great shows, great turnout. There's a lot of things to keep on our radar. The thing that I encourage, and this week's show, I think the only thing I would have changed with this week's show and what we did, I think that we talked a lot about things, but we didn't really talk a whole lot about solutions, and that's something that Rogue always takes pride in, the fact that offering solutions. So, my advice is to more importantly is to take a breath as you head into this weekend, to enjoy your time with your family, your friends. There is a lot of distraction that is occurring right now, a lot of distractions that are keeping us from the big picture. And I think that's what we are seeing with the media, even part with the administration, is, it's look here, but yet something big is going on around us, and we're seeing that happen. So take a break from it, get away, enjoy your weekend, and we will be back this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank everyone for listening in, and this is CJ delivering another Rogue Mornings, and I am out. Take care, everyone. Thank you.